Eight cheetahs arrived in India on a special flight, Boeing 747. They landed in Madhya Pradesh's Gwalior. From there, the Indian Air Force will fly the cheetahs to the Kuno National Park. Of these cheetahs, 5 are females and 3 are male. These cheetahs have been brought to India under the ambitious Project Cheetah and are interestingly arriving on Prime Minister's, this is Prime Minister Modi's birthday. Prime Minister Modi will release the animals into an enclosure space over 10 kilometers. Making the journey along with the cheetahs is one of India's leading experts. This is Dr. Lori Marker, who came along with the cheetahs on that 10-hour flight to India. And this is that special flight that's brought in 8 cheetahs. More cheetahs to arrive in India. For now, we have 8 cheetahs, out of which 5 are female and 3 are male. This is that flight has landed in Madhya Pradesh. From here, a special chopper will be taking those cheetahs to the national park, in which they will be released into an enclosure, and that ceremony will take place by the Prime Minister, marking his birthday. So this is after 70 years that India has got cheetahs back in the country. Well, more cheetahs expected to come into India. For now, we have 8 of them. And my colleague Sarah spoke with the world's leading expert on cheetahs, Dr. Lori Marker. Let's listen in.
Dr. Lori Marker joins us right now. You are at the Hosea Kotaku International Airport, on board that plane with that very precious cargo. A lot of hopes and dreams riding on this very ambitious project. Are you all set to take off, everything in place?
We're on the airplane. We've loaded the cats. We've been in transit from our center up in Ochivarago all day, and we've loaded the cats and we're getting ready to fly away. The cats are in crates. And we're in a very nice jet, and we're hoping we're going to be landing tomorrow morning after about a 10-hour flight near Kuno National Park, where the cats will then be loaded into a helicopter and brought right into Kuno National Park.
So are the cheetahs tranquilized right now?
The cats are doing very, very well.
And in fact, to get more on this, we have our guest joining us. Anish Andheria is joining us, President of Wildlife Conservation Trust. Anish, we just heard Lori Marker talking about how it's extremely difficult to get these cheetahs back into India. How difficult is it to get an animal from extinction? Take us through the challenges.
First of all, I welcome this move. This is a extremely, as you said, an ambitious project, but I think it was long due. There are challenges. These are animals from a different location, so they will have to get acclimatized or get used to the temperatures, the climatic condition, the prey, many things in this country now. Cheetahs don't breed too well under stress. So as long as there is stress on these animals, could be of many reasons, could be psychological, could be habitat related, then their breeding will get hampered, which means you have to create a conducive environment for them. Third, there are other predators in the same landscape. So in this national park, there are leopards, and cheetahs do coexist in several parks in Africa. However, one will have to see how they react, the leopards that are there in Kuno and cheetahs. Fourth is where the prey comes into picture. If they will need prey augmentation from time to time, because this habitat is not exactly the same habitat that you have in Namibia. And so there are woodlands, there are grasslands. It's a mosaic of grasslands and woodlands. So one will have to see wherever there is requirement of prey, if there is any, then the Indian government will have to, the forest department will have to augment prey as well. One is, the fifth one is that they have to get, the communities that live alongside Kuno, and there are several villages. In fact, 24 villages from Kuno had moved out in 1998, because at that point the lion was to be introduced in Kuno. Now these people plus many other villages live along the periphery of this park, and so if there is conflict, which means when the cheetah moves out, it will it may get into conflict, which means it may attack cattle, not cattle, largely livestock like goats and sheep. In that situation, we must be able to compensate these people so that they don't get angry with the animal. So we'll have to create a social fence, which means the villagers who are happy about cheetah, which can happen with tourism, which means they have to develop a good tourism model where the money from the tourists who come to see these fascinating animals go directly to the communities. And finally, we have to see how these population moves. Yeah? We have to spend at least about 15 to 20 years. We'll have to observe these animals closely and see how they do. Kuno, the carrying capacity as per the report by Wildlife Institute of India is about 21 cheetahs, which means that these 8 cheetahs are coming, they will breed here, the next generation has to successfully breed. So there are several criteria that are set, which means in the first few years, if this founder population gets established, they have their own range, then they start breeding. The first generation that is born in India should also breed successfully and so on. So I think this is a long game, which means it will take about 15 to 20 years to talk something conclusively about it. But I think this is a very, very important start and that India has made it. And I have no doubt because India has done extremely well in protecting large carnivores. And so I'm quite hopeful that they will be able to manage this project.
Anish, you spoke about how long will the cheetahs take to acclimatize? How long before they adapt?
So adapt, one will have to see. You see, as I said, there are so many variables here. But that's why I said that one must ensure that the first generation is born there and that first generation also starts breeding, which means it will take easily about 5 to 6 years to have the cubs from the first generation. It may happen early also. But
you also mentioned that they don't breed well in stress. So that means at first they need to acclimatize, they need to adapt, and only then they'll be able to breed. And of course, so it's going to take years, like you mentioned.
Yeah, it's going to take, in fact, the action plan for cheetah is about 25 years, which means that already there is enough research that has been done by the people who are making this happen. Laurie Marker, who is the world authority on cheetahs, has been consulted for many years now. And plus some experts from South Africa, sitting with them, our Indian Forest Department and the people who are managing this project, the Wildlife Institute of India, they have created an action plan which is about 25 years, which means one will have to stabilize this population and move these animals into other areas in India. So it's not just Kuno. They'll have to scout for other locations which are more grasslandy. And then we should have multiple populations of about 20-25 animals each, about 100 animals in the wild, most of them bred in India. Once that happens, then we should breathe easy. So we'll have to be patient.
Right, Anish, just stay with us. We just need to go to our reporter Anurag Dwari, who's joining us. Anurag, take us through the whole process. How long is that ride, that chopper ride from the airport in Madhya Pradesh till the national park?
Yes, Divya. So basically they were about to land at around 6:30 a.m. in the morning in Gwalior, but they have landed just now, 5-10 minutes back, and now they will, the officials there will check all the papers, and also the health checkup will be done at the airport only, and from there Air Force chopper will take them to Kuno, because earlier they were expected to reach Kuno at around 7:30, but now they will reach Kuno at around 8:30, 9 o'clock, and PM is expected to land in Kuno at around 10 o'clock, and he will release the cheetahs around 10:35 a.m. in the morning. Divya?
Right, so on Prime Minister Modi's birthday, these cheetahs will in fact be released in the enclosure. They'll stay in that enclosure, Anurag, for about a month is what we understand.
Yes, Divya, what we have been told that they will be in that 50/30 enclosure for about a month, and after that they will be released to a larger enclosure which is around 200 meters from the present enclosure. So they will monitor everything. Special watchtowers are there, and in the entire 5 kilometer of area they have installed CCTV cameras. They'll be radio tagged, so their movement will be really monitored, because wildlife experts were pointing that this is a process of 20 to 25 years. I mean, we'll have to be patient about this whole translocation project of cheetahs.
Right, and Anurag, 12 more cheetahs are expected to come into India. The first batch, these are the 8 of them that have made it here, 5 females and 3 males. Quite an ambitious project here that we've been talking about, and historically marked to Prime Minister Modi's birthday.
Yes, Divya, because earlier the Forest Minister of Madhya Pradesh has said that these cheetahs will arrive on November 1st. That is the foundation day of Madhya Pradesh. But I think, they have taken some permissions, because earlier there were some hurdles with the paperwork there in Namibia and South Africa. But now they have cleared everything, and out of 28 cheetahs have arrived, and probably another lot of 22, around 12 cheetahs will arrive in a month, or around November only, November 1st, which is the foundation day of Madhya Pradesh. Divya.
Right, Anurag, we will keep coming back to you for more on this. The cheetahs have landed in India, and they will be taken to the national park. And like Anurag was saying, that would be about 8:39 this morning. But at about 10:30, the Prime Minister is going to release them in that enclosure. So let me just go back to Anish now. Anish, they're going to stay in that enclosure for about a month. So, this is to acclimatize them, of course. And they're the fastest animals in the world. However, they pose no threats to humans.
Yes, first of all, it is called soft release, which means they don't open the gates of this cage, and the animal is not allowed to move freely out in the bigger jungle. So they have created an enclosure which is about 5.5 square kilometers, and it has been divided into 5 other smaller chambers. And in these enclosures, there are natural prey, which means when this was created, there are already spotted deer, wild pig, langurs, and several other prey inside. And it's large enough, and that animals will observe these animals, because there are many CCTV cameras. There are watchtowers all over, so they are going to be monitored 24/7. And once they are sure that certain animals within the batch, because not all animals behave in the same way, and so if those animals that they have started hunting, they don't show any symptoms of stress, those animals will be released first. And the way cheetah social structure is, I think the first animals to be released will be the males, and therefore there are 3 males and 5 females. And cheetahs in the wild form coalitions, which means males come together and they stay together all their life. And so they will first release the males. The males will be observed outside. They will have a radio collar. They probably, all of them have already been fitted with a radio collar, so that they can track them through satellite. And that will tell them how they are moving, which are the areas where they are, because currently there is no way to know how they will adopt or how they will adapt to this particular habitat. So that will be done, and once the males are stabilized, then the female, maybe 1 or 2 females will be released as well. So this is probably the plan, and during all this period, their stress levels, and there probably tests done. There are ways in which one can tell whether they are going through stress or not. It does get picked up in blood tests. So they will have to monitor these animals. And one more thing that we have to all as Indians know, that this is an ambitious project, and that there are many hurdles that may come up. Some of them we already know, but some may be unknown, like a disease that a cheetah may get from wild animals in Kuno. Because they are not immune to that disease, they have not been ever exposed to them. And so if that happens, and if unfortunately some animals do die, we must be patient, and then the remaining batches that will come in, those batches will have to be also introduced, and then we have to make sure that this project does well, and wherever they go, they are tracked. People also are socially accepting of these animals. It will have to be. Right. It is quite a task for the Madhya Pradesh. It is a huge mammoth
task. Of course, Anish, like you were mentioning, Lorry Marker also said that we might lose 1 or 2 cheetahs along the way, and that might happen. So, of course, quite a huge task at hand. But the cheetahs have arrived, and 8 of them. They will be taken to the national park, and from there on they will be released into an enclosure, and that's going to happen by the Prime Minister on his birthday today at about 10:30.